The 2025 year of racing is upon us, and there will be quite a few GT3 cars competing across the 3 championships of the WEC, IMSA, and the Intercontinental GT Challenge, and each of the entries are represented by prestigious car brands. 11 car manufacturers are confirmed to race in at least one of these championships, and in this video, I'll break down each and every one of them. So this video explains the majority of details that you need to know regarding the manufacturers and their GT3 models that are set to compete in the 2025 seasons of those 3 championships. For the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Series, the GTD Pro class will feature 9 cars competing full-time, with the GTD class featuring 16 cars racing full-time, and all the entries will be represented by 9 car brands. For the WEC, 18 cars will race full-time in the LMGT3 class, and like IMSA, 9 brands will be competing. Finally, for the Intercontinental GT Challenge, the number of entries fluctuates depending on the events, but we do know for a fact that at least 10 car manufacturers are confirmed to race in 2025. First up is Aston Martin, who will bring their Vantage GT3 Evo into racing competition in 2025. The car will be competing in all 3 championships listed on screen: the WEC, IMSA, and the Intercontinental GT Challenge. Aston Martin's car uses a 6-speed sequential gearbox, a 4.0-liter twin-turbocharged V8 engine, and the cars will be run by more than 6 teams, which includes names like the Heart of Racing, Comtu Racing, Vantuster Racing, Spirit of Le Mans, and so on. Next up is Audi, who will return with the R8 LMS GT3 Evo 2. And despite them ending their factory involvement in 2024 for their GT program, the German manufacturer will still be represented in 2025. Audi will only race in one of the 3 championships listed though, as they won't compete in the WEC and IMSA, but will race at the Intercontinental GT Challenge at least one of the events. Audi's GT3 car features a 6-speed sequential gearbox, a 5.2-liter naturally aspirated V10 engine, and at least one team is confirmed to run the entry in 2025, and that is Hallmark Racing, who will return for Australia's Bathurst 12-hour in February. Moving on to BMW, who will bring forward their Evo variant of the M4 GT3 into 2025 competition. Like Aston Martin, BMW will also enter all 3 championships of the WEC, IMSA, and IGTC, and they'll be hoping to take major success in GT racing, as during the year, the German brand could take a record-breaking 26th victory at the 24 Hours of Spa overall. BMW's M4 GT3 Evo features a 6-speed sequential gearbox from X-Track, a 3.0-liter twin-turbocharged straight-six engine, and over 5 teams running cars in these series, including the likes of Team WRT, Paul Miller Racing, Turner Motorsport, Rove Racing, and Team RMG. For Chevrolet, they return to the 2025 grids and will bring the Corvette Z06 GT3R, which enters its 2nd year of competition. The Z06 GT3R will compete in all 3 championships listed, but for the Intercontinental GT Challenge, the Corvette is only expected to race at the 8 Hours of Indianapolis, like in the year before, because of the GT World Challenge America series being present. The Corvette, which is built by Chevrolet and Pratt Miller Engineering, features a 6-speed sequential transmission from X-Track, a 5.5-liter naturally aspirated V8 engine, and across the championships, the cars will be run by at least 4 different teams, including names like Pratt Miller Motorsports, AWA, TS Sport, DXDT Racing, and more. Moving on to Ferrari, as the legendary Italian manufacturer will return to the GT grids in 2025 with their 296 GT3. Ferrari will also be competing in all the rounds of the WEC and IMSA, and they'll likely compete in the majority of races of the Intercontinental GT Challenge as well. The 296 GT3 features a 6-speed sequential gearbox, a 2.9-liter turbocharged V6 engine, and over 8 teams representing Ferrari across these 3 championships in 2025, including the likes of AF Corsa, Dragon Speed, Tri RC Competizione, Fricadelli Racing, Inception Racing, and more. For the American manufacturer Ford, they will actually be present across all 3 championships listed for the very first time, with their Mustang GT3, which enters its 2nd year of endurance racing competition. But for the Intercontinental GT Challenge, Ford is only going to be racing at the 24 Hours of Nürburgring and at the 24 Hours of Spa. In 2025, the Ford Mustang GT3 will continue to use a 6-speed sequential transmission, a 5.4-liter naturally aspirated Coyote V8 engine, and 4 teams will be running the Mustang GT3s across the seasons of these championships, including the likes of Proton Competition, Multimatic Motorsports, Team HRT, and Gradient Racing, who recently switched from Acura to Ford. Moving on to Lamborghini, who does return in 2025 to GT racing and will compete with their Huracan GT3 Evo 2 once more. However, Lamborghini will only compete in IMSA and the Intercontinental GT Challenge, and they won't race at all in the World Endurance Championship. The Lamborghini Huracan GT3 will feature a 6-speed sequential gearbox, a 5.2-liter naturally aspirated V10 engine, and the cars will be run by at least 6 different teams, including the likes of Pfaff Motorsports, ABT Motorsport, Forte Racing, Wayne Taylor Racing, and more. Next up is Lexus, who will return in 2025 with their RCF GT3, which in fact is one of the oldest GT cars that will be racing next year. Lexus will be represented with entries on the WEC and IMSA grids, and will not appear at all across any of the IGTC rounds. The Lexus RCF GT3 features a 6-speed sequential transmission, one of the bigger sized power units on this list, which is a 5.4-liter naturally aspirated V8 engine, and the brand will only have 2 teams running cars. Those 2 teams continue to be Vasser Sullivan Racing in IMSA and Akotis ASP in the WEC. For Mercedes, they are expanding in 2025 as they enter a new series, and the German Mark will be back with their AMG GT3 car. For the first time ever, Mercedes will be represented across all 3 grids of the WEC, IMSA, and IGTC, as the German brand recently confirmed to join the WEC grid for the very first time with the Iron Lynx. From previous years, there aren't much changes to the Mercedes AMG GT3 though, as it continues to use a 6-speed sequential transmission, a 6.2-liter naturally aspirated V8 engine, which happens to be the largest size engine on this list, and the cars will be represented by at least 8 teams, which includes the likes of CrowdStrike Racing by Riley, Windward Racing, Team Bilstein, Iron Lynx, 75 Express, GetSpeed, and more. For McLaren, there is a change for 2025 as they drop off one of the grids, but the good news is that the British manufacturer will still be racing their 720S GT3 Evo in endurance racing competition across the year. The series that McLaren will be dropping off of is IMSA's WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, but they still have cars racing in the WEC and IGTC. The details of McLaren's GT3 car continue to stay the same, with the entry featuring a 6-speed sequential gearbox and a 4.0-liter twin-turbocharged V8 engine. McLaren cars will be represented by at least 2 teams, which includes United Autosports in the WEC and Optima Motorsports in the IGTC. And I also want to point out that we could see 2 more teams run McLarens in 2025, if IGTC's Team RJN and Garage 59 return with 720S entries. Finally, it wouldn't be a complete endurance racing season if we didn't include Porsche, who return to be an integral part of the GT competition. Porsche once again will be represented by teams using the 911 GT3R across all 3 championships of the WEC, IMSA, and IGTC. Porsche's GT3 car features a 6-speed sequential gearbox, along with a 4.2-liter naturally aspirated flat-6 engine. And the entries will be operated by at least 10 teams across 3 series, which include the likes of Manthey Racing, Iron Dames, Wright Motorsports, Falcon Motorsports, AO Racing, and more. I also wanted to point out 2 other manufacturers when it comes to GT racing. The first one is Acura, as their GT3 car likely won't be coming back for any racing across any of the championships mentioned beforehand in 2025. The NSX GT3 Evo is being retired, and the last Acura that was racing was the Gradient racing car in IMSA. Meanwhile, the other manufacturer that I wanted to mention was Glickenhaus, but keep in mind that their GT car technically hasn't been homologated under the FIA GT3 regulations, but I still wanted to mention this entry. The American manufacturer's car, which is named the SCG-004C, could make an appearance at the 24 Hours of Nürburgring once again like years before, and if Glickenhaus confirmed that, I'll definitely let you all know about any updates. So that completes this beginner's guide breakdown to every single GT3 car that is expected to compete in the 2025 seasons of the WEC, IMSA, and the Intercontinental GT Challenge. Out of all the brands that are set to compete, which one will you be supporting? And make sure to let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you like endurance racing, definitely subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because I'm releasing videos on a weekly basis regarding the WEC, IMSA, Intercontinental GT, and much more. To watch more content now, check out these suggested videos I've put on screen. For now though, that's all from me. Thanks for watching.